Hi, welcome to GRVO TV, G's Reviews, Views and Opinions. I've had some questions verbally and also through my Flickr page on how to improve zoo pictures. Now I'm lucky enough to have a zoo fairly close and I enjoy taking pictures of animals, and the challenge is to get pictures of zoo animals that don't look like they're in the zoo. So how do you do it? Well, if you're talking digital SLR, which I would recommend, then you need to go for a minimum of a 300mm lens. Now on a DX camera, like I've got here, that's basically a 200mm lens, and I've got two here. I've got the Nikon 55-200 VR, and that's f4 to 5.6. and the Sigma 70-200 f2.8. The camera I have here is a Nikon D7000, but any sort of reasonable quality digital SLR will do the job. But you do need a 200/300mm lens. So if you're looking at, say, the camera I'm recording on now, which is a Lumix GF3 mirrorless camera with a 2x conversion, you'd want a 100mm lens. Minimum, possibly even, I don't know if they do a 150 or a 200, as long as you can get to about between 200 and 300 equivalent, you're on the right tracks. Now, once you've got your kit, you need to think about your backgrounds. Now, a prime example, I took some lovely pictures of some monkeys in our local zoo, and the backgrounds were all ruined because they put these blue bins in for them to play with, and it just ruins the whole shot. And yeah, you can edit it out afterwards and all that malarkey, but I don't really like playing with my pictures too much, so I tend to try and get the right picture without the background. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do that. One is to blow the background out by using the lowest f-stop possible. So on like this, which is obviously a cheap lens, you're at 200mm, you're at f5.6 minimum, and that will give you reasonable bokeh, which is the blurry out of focus background. Obviously the better option is the 2.8 lenses, because that gives you even more bokeh blown out, and also you get a higher shutter speed, which is what I'll come on to next. Now obviously animals move, so you really want to be using a higher shutter speed, and the f2.8 gives you that option. The other option, if you're using a good camera, like I've got the D7000 or D50-100, D3200, a lot of the cameras now, you can bump up your ISO, and that will enable you to shoot faster. A lot of the pictures that you'll see coming along after this that I've taken are of monkeys indoors, and very, very dark conditions, and I've taken them at ISO 1600, 3200. Take the picture and get the speed right, and don't worry about the noise in the picture, because if you've got a picture that's noisy, then and you don't want to use it, then don't use it. But if it's out of focus because you were trying to handhold a 60th of a second and you couldn't do it, or a 20th of a second and couldn't do it, then the picture is absolutely useless. If you've got a bit of noise on your picture, convert it to black and white and call it grain. Problem solved. So don't be afraid to bump your ISO to bring your shutter speed down. Now, this lens has got vibration reduction, which helps with that problem. The Sigma hasn't. So you tend to handhold at 200mm. You want to be at least a 200th of a second, as a rule of thumb. You can get away with a little bit on the VR, but don't rely on VR to get the good shots. So those are my main sort of simple tips. My personal preference is to get close in on the animals, focus on the eyes. If you're using f2.8 and you're fully zoomed in at 200mm and the animal's at an angle, choose which eye to focus on, or take 2 pictures and focus on both eyes, or focus on a middle point, but go to f4, f5.6 to get more in focus. So play around. I mean, it's a great learning place, because you go from outside where you might be ISO 100, 200, then you go indoor, if you bump your ISO up to 1600 just to get a shot, go outside again, bright sunshine, and you might be knocking on 1/4000th, 1/8000th of a second, and have to bring your ISO right down. And so it's a good place to learn how your camera reacts to the different changing conditions. I like, as you'll see from the pictures, some unusual shots: paws, claws, beaks, real tight, try and get facial expressions on some of the animals. And if there's something colourful and you want all the background in, then go for that. But try and avoid fences, fence posts, anything artificial in the shot. So if you can look down on an animal and get it with a grassy background, that's better than a lower shot where you've got some fencing in the background. As I say, there are some stuff you can do in post-production to get rid of little bits and bobs, which I do now and again, but try and get your framing right on your shot first of all. Check your edges, and you should be fine. So anyway, I'm going to put up now just a montage of photos that I've taken at local zoos, and I hope you enjoy them. Anyway, I hope this helps. Thanks for your time. Cheers, bye. Okay, I hope you enjoyed those pictures. Just one more thing, quite a few of those, looking through them myself, were taken through glass. Now, there's a couple of rules when shooting through glass. Firstly, don't let it put you off. Take the picture. It might not work, but take the picture, so don't worry. Choose a piece of glass that is scratch and dirt free, which I know can be difficult at some zoos. Try and be straight on to the glass and put your lens, or your lens hood, you should always have a lens hood on, touching, or as near to touching the glass as possible. Obviously be aware that on some lenses, like the cheaper ones, as you zoom out, you might find you're pushing yourself away or knocking into the glass. So get as close as you can. If you can just rest on the glass, that's fine. Obviously this lens, when you zoom, nothing moves, so I can get dead close. The other thing is the hood will stop some of the reflected light, and be aware of what's happening in the picture. Quite often you'll go to take a picture, and if you actually look at the glass rather than the subject, you'll notice that someone's walked up behind you with a blue or a red jacket on, and that will come out in the picture as a reflection in the glass. There are ways around that. You can sort of use a hood of some description, put your hands round, or a hand, sorry, see one hand holding the camera. Different ways of doing it. You can buy sort of hood things that go on your camera to try and do it, but I just try and use the hood that's there and use my hand, get your angles right. If you are shooting at a bit of an angle, just by putting your hand in the right place might get rid of whatever's in the picture. So don't be afraid to shoot through glass. Sometimes it might mess up your autofocus, especially if it's low light. Switch to manual focus, no problem with that. But if you can keep it straight on, close up, then there are, you can get pictures which people won't believe are shot through glass. A typical one on my little montage there was the real close up of the small monkey with the big eyes, looking straight at the camera, more or less, or sorry, a bit of a slight angle, and the black and white one, that was taken through glass. So if you get it right, you won't even know the glass is there. If you look at the picture and there's a sort of a funny reflection, or quite often at the zoo I go to, they've got this like slatted wooden decking, and quite often in your pictures you get these lines, and at first you think, oh, what's that? And it's actually a reflection of the decking. So it might be that you need to get your hand under just to stop that reflection. So those are my main tips for shooting through glass. It's not ideal. The thing I find most difficult is shooting through these fences, the crisscross fences. Very difficult to shoot through those. You can try it, but your best option for that would be trying to sort it out post-production, but it's very difficult to do, and you end up with these like blurry sections in your image, and I just tend to avoid trying to shoot through the fence. Some zoos I've been to have little cutouts, but the majority now don't, so deal with it. But anyway, I hope that's helped. I've got on a bit on this video. Any questions, as I said before, let me know. Cheers, bye.